in the United States.
Okay.
Consider themselves Christian.
You're right.
Understood.
Once a month at some point in the 90s. That number was in the 90 to 97 percentile in the 90s. So back then, everybody considered themselves Christian. It's just a thing. You go up to somebody, you Christian? It's just a yes. That was I wouldn't call it an enlightenment in America, but as we come into today, that number has dwindled to the low 40s to the mid 30s.
Of people that attend church.
That consider themselves Christian. Or attend church. Yes. We can look it up. Fact check.
So is that
he's correct. He's correct.
That has a lot to do with the marketing piece. Because the way we market, so there were things you could just say in the 90s, and we just accepted them. Like, you could just say, God bless you. Nowadays, if you just walk up to somebody and say, God bless you, they say, what God? What do you mean by God bless you? It's just certain things that impacts marketing, because if I'm a brand and I know I want to reach a consumer, I may not use a Christian artist because it may offend some audience that wouldn't necessarily be offended.
Gotcha.
There are many communities currently of color, not of color, of sexual orientation, or whatever the case may be. We talk about Roe v. Wade, that are offended by certain belief systems. Whether or not those belief systems actually have oppressive intent is irrelevant. As a brand, I don't have the opportunity to communicate, I don't agree with everything Kirk Franklin believes, or I don't agree with everything XYZ believes. You don't have that opportunity. So I'm just going to shy away from the very mere fact that he says he's a Christian, because it may offend someone. So what I noticed coming into the space was that there was a large group of people that still didn't mind to have someone like Kirk be the spokesman for what they wanted. There wasn't anyone willing to come in and say, hey, I'm going to put my money behind this space and look at ways to correlate them with certain brands, certain companies, certain products, and push that to just our base. Our base is still, like I said, it's the most loyal base you have, period.
When you say your base, what is because there's a lot of Christians in America.
Yeah.
But there's evangelical white Christians, there's Roman Catholics, there's Southern Baptists.
Yeah.
What is your base that you're referring to?
So the unique part of where we sit in the marketplace is, Kirk mentioned Maverick City. So I am one of the owners of Maverick City with one of my business partners, Jonathan J. And the unique thing about Maverick City was that we prioritized diversity. And so we were able to build one of the first groups that had African Americans in it that was able to be played on what we consider CCM radio. So much like pop and R&B in the Christian space, you have Christian and you have gospel. That means white and black. I mean, so no
very
one
clear. Very
so
clear.
Christian music is white, gospel music is black.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
So if you hear Christian music, you're gonna have a white person.
Yeah. And there's no ambiguity to what he said.
There's none.
None. Okay. But can I also, if you mind, if I can also celebrate what he was saying, is that this piece of marketing that Norman and his partners brought to the table is what it did for those spaces that were already biased, is that it humanized the voices in the space.
Exactly.
That's what it did.
Exactly.
Is that it allowed people to see themselves in us, is because being able to have the idea of, we're going to bring cameras into every space. We're going to do intentional marketing to humanize the voices in this space so that they do not sound so iconoclastic, right?
Okay.
That they sound more humanized. And so that has been a great benefit for not only other artists, but also for myself. And I was always a very public person, but in the partnership, I have seen the benefits of being intrusive in a very intentional way so that people can understand the viability and the relevance of not only just these brands, but also the subject matter.
This is interesting because even this is revolutionary. This partnership feels revolutionary, but it feels pretty new, right? You're talking about a tour in 2022.
Yeah.
But most people look at you as the icon. In terms of gospel music, I mean, it changed even from like the 80s to the 90s. And like when you came and then it was like, it's praise and worship. It's a totally different sound. But gospel music is still part of the music business.
Yeah.
And so at what point did you feel like you've grasped the business, or you still learning up to this point? Obviously, you're learning some new things and finding new ways to market. And as a leader in that space, I would say, How are you seeing other artists as you're growing and your brand is building? Are we treating it like a business? Or we always talk about R&B artists who sign these contracts that were so negligent and they didn't know what to ask, and the pride and the kind of naive in the space, but we never really hear it in other genres. Was that an experience in that time as well, leading up to current day where we have more information, more resources, obviously great partners?
The answer for me is very nuanced, because it has been the last decade and a half for me where I've been able to understand the necessity of leaning into longevity that's going to require more of me being more infused and informed, and also having the tools to realize that these are the areas that I can be strong in. See, the difficult thing is that it's not one size fits all for every artist, because there are some artists that are maybe more, they are not extroverts. They may not have the woo-woo-ness about themselves where they can deliver in front of a camera what is necessary for his part of the business. But whatever it is that what I think is very important is that we need more individuals to surround talent in this space, to be able to point out those strengths, maximize and manage those weaknesses, so that they can be able to have the opportunity to tap into these new tools, or the tools that are now available to them, so that we can talk about diversification and even longevity. And that has not always existed, but it's because, once again, we were not privy to the best entertainment lawyers. We were not privy to the booking agents and to the talent agents. William Morris was not running down our space. And when they were running down our space back in the day, it was only just to collect the dollars just for booking. It was not to really to diversify and get them in television and film, like a lot of times it was always promised. And it's not a slate with WME. It's because they're a great company. They're just too big. These companies are too big to be able to be in the minutia of how do we speak. It's almost adjacent to the Tyler Perry model, is that his voice is so wrapped into the experience of the community, is that Hollywood did not know that was a community that even existed. And so it's kind of privy to that space, that there is this community, there's this island that has always existed, that now we cannot rely just on Sunday morning to get the message that we exist there. We've got to be able to do it Sunday night, Monday morning, Tuesday, Wednesday, at the club, in the streets, at the barbershop, wherever we go. We've got to be able to have talented conversations, especially with the advent of social media, to let people know that we're aware, we're informed, and we're still relatable to whatever space people need when they need to be inspired and be reminded of life bigger than themselves.
I think you ask a good question, and Kirk, you expounded on a number of things, but the straightforward answer is, the deal sucked. The deals sucked in gospel, like they did everywhere. One of the most disruptive factors of what we did was we were giving royalties to artists without deals. And so we were able to really aggregate some of the best talent in Christian and gospel music at the time, because they didn't have to commit anything to work with us. Tribal in Maverick City Publishing. And so a lot of the buildings didn't like what we were doing. We weren't Nashville-based. We weren't old white guys from the Midwest. We were some young black dudes from Georgia. And so that was kind of disruptive in and of itself from a racial standpoint, but also we were trying to push for an all-white format at radio to also play black music.